Once upon a time, in a quiet little village, there lived an old lady. Her hair was silver, her face lined with deep wrinkles, yet her eyes shone with warmth and kindness. She had lived a long life, filled with both joy and sorrow, but she never let hardships steal her smile. The townspeople loved her dearly. She lived alone in a small house near the great oak tree, a silent witness to the passing years. Her husband had passed away long ago, and she had no children to call her own. Yet she never complained. Every morning, she would sit under the oak tree, greeting everyone with a gentle smile. No matter how hard life got, her presence was like a warm embrace, a beacon of comfort in their struggles. The village itself was simple, filled with farmers, carpenters, and market vendors, each toiling to make a living. But life was unpredictable. Some years, the rains never came, leaving the fields dry and barren. Other times, illness swept through, stealing the strength of those who worked so hard. Worries weighed heavy on many hearts, but the old lady's smile never faded. One day, a young woman named Asha arrived, her face streaked with tears. She knelt beside the old lady and whispered, her voice trembling, "I don't know what to do, Grandma. My husband, he left for the city to find work, but he hasn't sent any money. My children, they're hungry. I'm scared. What if something bad has happened to him?" The old lady placed a gentle hand on Asha's shoulder. "Sit down, my child," she said, her voice soft and steady. "Tell me, what do you fear the most?" Asha wiped her tears, struggling to find the words. I don't know. I feel like everything is falling apart. What if he never finds work? What if he forgets us? What if we have nothing left?" The old lady listened patiently, then shook her head with a knowing smile. "Asha, when we fill our minds with fears, our hearts grow heavy. But when we choose to think of hope, our burdens feel lighter. And sometimes, just sometimes, life surprises us." Asha frowned. "But how can I think good thoughts when everything around me is so bad?" The old lady let out a soft chuckle. "Let me tell you a story," she said, her voice weaving a tale like the wind through the trees. "Once there was a poor man. He had no food, no money, no family. He sat by the river, crying, believing he had nothing. An old woman saw him and asked, 'Why do you weep, my son?' 'Because I have nothing,' he replied. The woman smiled and pointed around him. 'You have the river flowing endlessly. You have the trees offering shade and fruit. You have the sun warming you each morning. Look around. Life is full of gifts. But if you only see what you lack, you will always feel empty. When you see what you have, you will find peace.' The man listened, and slowly he began to notice the beauty around him. The river's song, the shade of the trees, the golden warmth of the sun. His heart grew lighter, and from that moment on, he worked hard and changed his life." The old lady turned to Asha. "You see, my dear, the world didn't change for that man. He changed, and that made all the difference." Asha sat in silence, absorbing the words. "So, if I think differently, my problems will go away?" The old lady smiled. "No, child, but you will find the strength to face them. When you wake up each morning and say, 'Today will be a good day,' you will find courage where fear used to live. But if you wake up drowning in worry, you will lose the strength to fight." Asha wiped her tears and gave a small, hesitant nod. I understand." The old lady squeezed her hand. "That is the first step, my dear." From that day forward, Asha tried to think differently. Every morning, she whispered to herself, "Today will be a good day." She worked hard, cared for her children, and held on to hope. One evening, as she was preparing food, there was a knock at the door. Her heart pounded. Was it her husband? She opened the door to find a stranger standing there. His face was kind but weary. "Are you Asha?" he asked. She nodded. He held out a small bundle. "Your husband sent this. He fell sick and couldn't work, but he wanted to make sure you had something." Tears welled in Asha's eyes, not from despair, but from relief and gratitude. She took the money, thanking the man with all her heart. That night, she made a decision. She wouldn't wait helplessly anymore. The next morning, she took the money and used it wisely, buying cloth to sew and sell at the village market. Slowly, her work grew, and she no longer had to fear hunger. Months passed, and then one evening, another knock came. This time, it was her husband. He stood at the door, weak but alive. Asha ran into his arms, her heart full, not just with love, but with strength, knowing that even in the darkest moments, she had not let fear win. Meanwhile, the old lady continued to share her wisdom, touching the hearts of many in the village. People who once walked with heavy hearts began to see life with new eyes, finding joy in the simple things, embracing hope even in difficult times. Her kindness lived on not just in stories, but in the lives she had changed. And so, her legacy remained, forever woven into the heart of the village, a reminder that sometimes a single smile, a single story, can change everything.